Going on, everyone? Today, 56% of the S&P 500 closed down in the red, and while it was a bit of a chop fest from this side of things, individual stocks had some clean, strong movement, and we're set for some pretty awesome trading opportunities tomorrow. We only have one day left of the week, and it's set to be a good one. We have some important PCE data set to release 1 hour before the market opens tomorrow, so this will be important, and we'll talk more about this as the video goes on. But we're also seeing some crazy movement out of GameStop as they had some wild news recently. We're also seeing ticker symbol APP just get demolished as they had some pretty big news today as well. Believe it or not, marijuana stocks are rising again, and we also have some news there. And as always, we also have some Trump news today as well, which is affecting a handful of stocks. So we have a lot to cover today. We're set for a great day tomorrow. And besides that, Tom, let's get right to it.
Yeah, there was a lot of nice action today from individual sectors. Like you said, though, the SPY was definitely more flat than anything. It fell off at open, ran back up, and then just kind of fizzled out into the end of the day here. And we do have that important PCE data coming up tomorrow, which will be a big deal. We'll talk about that later in the video, so definitely stick with us there. But Mike, GameStop really stole the headlines today, down 22%. It started moving last night in after hours. Looks like they're going to be offering some convertible senior notes. Oh my gosh, another offering by GameStop. Now they're going to use these to kind of buy Bitcoin, almost following in the footsteps of like MicroStrategy in a way here. But either way, their board unanimously approved this, and it's going to be like a $1.3 billion offering here. So definitely pretty big. And as we know, offerings tend to spook investors.
In simple terms, the company is taking on debt to buy Bitcoin, and investors did not like that one bit, which is why we saw them just rush to the exit today. So yeah, GameStop has this pretty negative news. Looking at GameStop, as we know, this company's wild and this news is pretty bad. Keep it on the radar for potential continuations. The price action today was just disgusting with this one. It does have some support at like $21 a share, but assuming this breaks tomorrow, Tom, what are the other key levels to keep on watch?
Yeah, it hasn't really been here in a long time. This like $21 to $21.50 support is definitely going to be large to watch. This was a pretty big low, and I'm glad to see that it ended up closing above there. So if we do see a pullback below there, that's going to be a big spot to watch. But going back to the daily chart, GameStop does have some more support right around $20.50, and then I think more importantly, right around $20. Anywhere from like $20 to $20.50 to $19.50. I think there's a pretty good support range within that zone. So I'll definitely be watching for that if GameStop continues to drop. If we do see a pullback below there, it's going to be brutal. I mean, GameStop hasn't been below here since like April of 2024, and we'll be getting into levels it hasn't been at in a long time.
Yep, so we shall see. And with situations like this one, these stocks are volatile, and there is also opportunity playing the move up as well. For example, if GameStop opens up tomorrow, holds support very strongly, and has decent intraday price action, there's certainly scalp opportunities playing the move higher as well. Just make sure to have stop losses and of course follow the trend and deploy smart trading habits as always. But moving on to the next big topic of the day, Tom, we have to talk about ticker symbol APP and what is going on here. Just a few months ago, this stock was leading the market. Everyone was super euphoric about it, and we look at it now, and this one is down 20% today as well.
Yeah, turning over really hard on the daily chart, and every once in a while we hear about a company that has a short report going on, and it looks like APP has one from Muddy Waters Research, and I guess the waters are muddy at APP, I guess to say it simply, but they're engaging in practices that they're saying could get them deplatformed. I read a ton of different things about APP and what they could be doing here, Mike. In the articles, they raise concerns about how they're using identifying high-valued users, extracting proprietary IDs from platforms platforms like Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit, Google, and probably even more. Who knows? But that's quite a bit, quite an allegation as well. Either way, at the end of the day, whenever you get a short report and you're like a growth stock like APP, it tends not to be the best thing in the short term. We can see that they're turning over really hard on the daily, and honestly, they've been turning over really hard ever since they peaked out at like $520 a couple months ago.
And that's insane to say because this company started out 2024 at like around $40 a share. It hit highs of like $525 a share, like you mentioned, just like a month ago or so. And now it is falling from the heavens. There's negative news here. They are accused of doing some pretty shady things as well. So with a situation like this one, from like a price action sense, it is somewhat similar to GME, where that intraday price action is just like overwhelmingly bearish, and there's no telling exactly where this stock will bottom out at, but we do know that this stock is moving in a momentum-driven but also clean way. So keep it on the radar, of course, for potential continuations, but at the same time, let's say we see a lot of buyers step in at open tomorrow, we can also see like a little bit of like a short covering effect happen, in that case offering bullish opportunities. The main thing to know is that this stock will move pretty strongly, and there's a good shot it'll move pretty cleanly as well, so definitely keep it on watch.
Yeah, and some big supports coming up in my mind are definitely $250. That's very close to the low of day today. That's going to be a big psychological level for tomorrow, and then there was also a recent bottom down around 230. So if we do see, like, let's say a 250 flush tomorrow, a 230 target at that recent low might not be the worst thing ever, but AppLovin's definitely a crazy stock, Mike. It has a fairly high percentage move on average as well, on its average percent rise being over 3%. So definitely have it on the radar. It is a volatile company. But Mike, I know we've been talking about a lot of volatility in the short term. Today, we saw a lot of the auto manufacturers take a hit. General Motors was falling off. We saw Ford fall off last night and even today in pre-market and during trading hours. But it was a pretty crazy overall day for these auto manufacturers. And Trump did some tariffs, and we've been talking about this as the week has went on, and 25% tariffs on cars not made in the U.S. is a bad headline, but a lot of these companies are getting hit even worse because they're going to be even tariffing a lot of the parts as well.
Yeah, so it definitely is pretty rough news for these auto stocks. These tariffs are set to go into effect next week on April 2nd, and Trump said that they'll start collecting on April 3rd, and the auto parts tariffs will go into effect on May 3rd. As we know, tariff news has been driving the markets. In this specific instance, it's especially hurting auto stocks. So keep a close eye on GM and Ford, especially in like a more bearish / weak sense. Of course, their price action today was pretty rough, and it says a lot when we have news like this. At the same time, other stocks like Tesla held up better, but even they didn't hold up all that great, especially considering how strongly they started the day.
Yeah, they really did pop up pretty well, and in the middle of the day, they fell off in a pretty big way again. I'm definitely watching this recent low from this week, right around 270 and even 264. Tesla's a stock that is definitely on the radar. Going out to the daily chart with them, they've been starting to pop up in a great way. They definitely need some momentum to really keep this overall run fueled and going here in the short term. But I know even like some other auto manufacturers had some positivity today. I know Rivian had some good news, and they were actually running up as they're going to be spinning off part of their business. They were up 7%, and I know these companies might blow people's minds, but Tesla and Rivian are actually like 100% made in the United States pretty much.
Yeah, so that's good to see, and it's safe to say that these auto tariffs certainly do not affect all auto companies equally. Tesla actually finished in the green today, which is great to see, where GM finished down like 7.5%, and it was one of the worst performing auto stocks of the day. As I look at, let's say, a stock like GM in this sense, the main opportunity I see here from like a directional standpoint is more of like a slower and more consistent downtrend over, let's say, multiple weeks, assuming this level of momentum keeps up, what would you say are like the most important supports if you had to pick for GM?
Yeah, right now GM is actually on a crucial one, Mike, right around this $45 to $46 area. So there was a lot of hits recently, right around 46. You can see a lot of these on the daily chart. There was also an extension right below there, right down to around 45 to 44.50. So that will be on watch as well, that recent low and bottom. But I really do like where we saw a lot of these hits here. And like you said, a lot of these auto manufacturers are not treated the same way. Even like Ferrari, they actually had a pretty good day today, up over 3%. And there was a lot of reports that Ferrari can just easily, obviously shake off these prices and, kind of just throw it onto their consumers, right? Because let's be honest, if you're already paying $300K for a Ferrari, what's another 20 to 30K?
Yeah, so they said they're going to add like a 10% boost to the cost of, their vehicles, which will definitely help them out. But clearly, other companies aren't in their position. So we shall see here. But continuing on with more political related news, marijuana stocks actually had a pretty good day today. So what is going on here?
Let's go. Tilray was up 9%, and we had some news with Matt Gaetz coming out, hitting on marijuana moment today. It looks like he did an op-ed published by the Tampa Bay Times where Gaetz said moving cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 won't solve problems overnight, but it's obviously a necessary step. And he also said that meaningful marijuana reform is on the horizon under the current administration. Actually praised Trump's leadership in supporting the rescheduling. And, that Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 rescheduling will be huge for these marijuana stocks and companies, of course. It'll even help maybe open up, more banking opportunities and stuff if we can get that stuff going through Congress. And, of course, stuff like that is huge for the MJ stocks. I will say, though, Mike, MJ has been down in the dumps lately. We look at the daily charts of Tilray. They were kind of holding off around support in 2024 around $1.50, and we haven't looked at them in a while, but it's kind of sad to say they're all the way down to like 70 cents now, pretty much having.
Yeah, they have been getting crushed, to say the least. And whether you look at Tilray or CGC or even MSOS, which is an ETF of a bunch of US-based marijuana companies, they've all just been getting destroyed. These stocks move almost entirely off of just like news and momentum and hype. So like if this news can actually turn into something, or if like it can actually get like a decent amount of like, money and action and attention and excitement with these stocks, then there's certainly opportunity. But if this just ends up being like another, marijuana news headline that just like fades out into oblivion, then it'll just be like, nothing. So with a situation like this, of course, if you are open to high risk, definitely keep these stocks on the radar. MSOS and TLRY have been some of the best performing tickers so far. Again, if they continue to bring in more excitement, they certainly do have crazy potential, as we've seen multiple times in their history.
Yeah, and there's a lot of MJ tickers out there. Definitely do some research on some. I really do like MSOS, though, at the bottom here. And the thing is like, you don't really even have to see a full-blown recovery back to where they were at recent highs. Like, let's be honest, even like a nice pop back up would be like 50% here. These stocks are definitely volatile. And if you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen with these ones, as we like to say.
There we go. All right, Tom. Well, shifting over to SPY. Again, it was a chop fest today on this front. What are the key levels for tomorrow, and what are you seeing with the charts?
Yeah, SPY was pretty choppy today. I do like that low around 565. I talked yesterday about there being a $1 range around 564 to 565. That ended up being the low this morning, where SPY bounced very well. So I'm definitely going to be watching that again for tomorrow. If we end up breaking below 565 and 564, I do have 562 and 560 on the radar. But I think that it's important today to really get up and out of this range. SPY rejected multiple times again around 570. It did get slightly above there, almost to 571 at one point in the day, and then rejected two other times off 570. So I want to see a clear break of that back up if we're going to start to get a nice bullish move going again.
All right, sounds good. Like, as we look at SPY, it is relatively choppy, so there's not even a need to trade this, of course. I do think most of the opportunity would come in if we just see some like more momentum start to develop. Like if SPY just continues to chop around and it's only moving by, let's say, 0.3%, then it's just going to be stuck in the same range that it's currently stuck in. But if we see more of like a momentum driven news happen in either direction is where more of the opportunity comes into play. I do think that 565 level will certainly be worth keeping on the radar for tomorrow. There were certainly some pretty strong bearish momentum today with individual stocks, and if we see this bleed over into tomorrow and we see a break below 565, we could definitely see like some momentum intensify there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And, going back to the heat map from today, I would say it was a pretty bloody day overall. Of course, the SPY didn't necessarily close down that much, only down by 0.27%. But that heat map is exceptionally bloody, especially with the larger tech stocks, like the chip stocks specifically, AMD, Avgo, NVIDIA, Google, Meta, Palantir. I mean, a lot of these popular tech stocks were down in the dumps today. I know Tesla barely held up, and a few of these other stocks that people don't really think about kind of fueled the SPY, like Procter & Gamble, Coke, Altria, MO, stocks like that. So I thought it was an interesting dynamic today, but if we do see like NVIDIA continuing to sell off tomorrow and Advanced Money Destroyer, not going to be a good sign.
And as we know, it's definitely a good idea to look at the market from multiple different angles. Of course, in like a short-term trading sense, we have all of the levels and stats and, important things to look at, in that side of things. But at the same time, for like the longer term portfolio and for all of the bulls out there, we also do have some pretty, you could say, convincing stats for some dip buy potential. We can see when we look at this data here, the AAII index has basically been above 50% for the bears for 5 straight weeks. And this is only the 3rd time in history this has ever happened. And the last 2 times this happened, it ended up marking a bottom for markets. So take this how you want.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like back in 1990, it ended up marking a bottom, and then that would even mark the low in 2022. Now, it is kind of cherry picking some stats here, guys, so definitely let us know in the comments how you feel about this one. But I will say it is pretty rare, though. The only time that we've seen bears above 50% has happened only 2 other times since 1990. That is pretty rare, and, looking over here, the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and 12 month returns have been good 100% of the time. So pretty convincing stats there, but then again, always take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly, especially when you have a sample size of 2. But again, this is a rare thing. Hasn't happened many times over the past, let's say, 35 years. So it does say a lot in that sense. I think the most like telling stat from this is like from like a 6-month like point of view. The market does return like 20%, which is certainly really good. Where like when you look at like the 12-month return, that only bumps up to like 21%. So it looks like it's more of like a relatively shorter term sense, but of course in like a monthly viewpoint. So keep that in mind. But Tom, looking at the market for tomorrow, we do have some important data set to release 1 hour before open. What's going on?
Yeah, the PCE data is going to be coming 1 hour before the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, and this is the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge. And, the reason why this is actually their preferred inflation gauge is because, unlike the CPI index, it actually accounts for changes in consumer behavior and more things like that, seeing like consumer spending and different habits, which can, give people a better idea on the economy and what is going on. So it's going to be a big event 1 hour before the market opens. Definitely be wary of your longer term positions and everything tomorrow. If you picked one day of the week to wake up early, it's definitely Friday and tomorrow.
Sounds good. And then looking at the earnings lineup, it's basically all clear. There aren't any major reports, so we're all good on that front. So let's jump right into some setups and predictions then. A stock that is close on watch, as many of you can probably already guess before I say it, is SLV, and it is to the upside. I know this one has been mentioned so much, not only over the past few weeks, but over the past few months. SLV follows silver prices. It is uptrending in a very strong way. It popped up by over 2.5% today, which is a lot for silver. Looking at SLV, we are continuing to get closer and closer to some of those recent resistance levels around like $31.75 up to $32. Precious metals are continuing to rise, and in gold's case, continuing to make new all-time highs by the day. Gold actually hit a record high of $3,059 per ounce today, which is awesome. You know, silver isn't quite at record highs just yet, but we're seeing a lot of money flow into precious metals for multiple reasons. The tariff and trade war uncertainty definitely fuels this quite a bit, and this run has been great to see, and SLV is still on the bullish radar, and this is, a trend that certainly has like multi-day and multi-week potential.
Yeah, we saw a lot of fear kind of creep back in today, I know, and there was a lot of sell-offs in tech, and, we've been seeing a lot of craziness with the tariffs again, and I think that it helped fuel some of that run with the metals, so I definitely agree. I'll be watching silver and even gold in the short term, but with my first setup, I'm looking at SMCI to the downside here. SMCI was down 6% today. I've been watching them on the daily chart. They've been kind of falling off the past couple days, testing major support. If we see like $34.50, right around that recent low, start to give out, I'm definitely going to keep watching them down. This is a major area of support. They're starting to turn over very hard, and we're seeing a lot of stocks get towards like the bottom of their ranges. So if we do see that breakdown, I'm going to keep watching for SMCI to the downside.
All right, sounds good. Another stock that is definitely on watch is RDDT, also to the downside. This is Reddit, and it has been a high-flying stock over the past year, but it is definitely starting to deflate among many other, or alongside many other stocks. Looking at it in the short term, the momentum's pretty bad. It closed down by over 8% today, and we are approaching some recent support levels around like 105, but we do still have some room until we get to those support levels. I thought that the close today was absolutely brutal. It definitely showed a lot of weakness, and especially if the market is red tomorrow, this can be like a potential continuation play. So it's definitely on the radar, and again, it would certainly help if we continue to see, the bearishness that we saw today continue.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough move today. I will say the shareholders for Reddit are going to be pissed, but the put players are going to be happy, and I'm definitely going to be watching it down in the short term myself, Mike. With my next setup, I'm looking at NVIDIA to the downside, actually, and we're going to the Bookmap here. There is a major buy wall on NVIDIA in the short term. There was like 950, pretty much a million shares at $110 today. This is a lot of shares stacked up, around 950K officially there around the end of the day. If we see 110 give out, I'm going to be watching NVIDIA back down. At the same time, I'm going to keep this level in mind and definitely respect it. If we do see like NVIDIA bounce off of this and start to rip back above like 115, maybe like right around that high of day today, then I'll be watching them back to the upside as well. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a major buy wall. And if they break 110, I'm sure a lot of people are going to start to target $100 even over the next few trading days. So just have your eyes on that level. It's a major buy wall. There's almost a million shares there. And shout out to Bookmap. Definitely check out the link in the description down below.
There we go, and if you guys are new to the channel, definitely consider obliterating that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. Every single day we cover the most important news, big money trades, book maps, important events to watch out for, and so much more, usually in like 20 to 25 minutes or less. And if you subscribe, you'll get our videos recommended to you more often. But besides that, Tom, let's jump right into today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have UAL to the downside.
United Airlines sold off pretty hard today. If they end up pulling back under $73, then keep watching them down.
All right, with the next one, we have TSM also to the downside.
Taiwan Semiconductors, if they end up falling under 167.50, then keep watching them to the downside as well.
And with the last one, we have MSOS to the upside.
Yeah, a nice MJ ETF. If they break out above $2.74, keep watching them to the upside. It's just above the high of the day.
All right, so we have MSOS, TSM, and UAL all on the radar for potential continuations tomorrow if and only if they break through the levels listed. These stocks are volatile, so you have to protect yourself. Using stop losses, following the trend, knowing your reason for the trade, having a thesis for the trade are all extremely important and necessary things. You can learn a lot more about smart trading habits like these and many others for free in the StockedUp Discord in the key lessons section. So definitely check that out and keep these stocks on the radar. But besides that, Tom, let's jump right into today's $369,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol PANW. Today, the big money bought the 150 strike puts that expire on August 15th of 2025. This trade is risky. This is probably one of the riskier trades of the recent big money plays that we've seen, solely due to the strike price selection here. We can see that these put options are far out of the money, so naturally they will have a lower probability of expiring in the money, and the trade-off that comes along with that is that if this stock does flush, these options certainly have the potential to do very well. Looking at this setup, the stock has been pretty weak, not only over recent weeks and months, but today it fell pretty badly as well, as it fell by 6%. So definitely keep this one on watch. I like how there's a lot of time to it, but how far out of the money this option is definitely does make it high risk.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Nancy Pelosi selling some puts on her shares on this one, right? I know that she exercised those call options and got like 14,000 shares a while ago, back in December of 24. But either way, this is a very interesting position with PANW, $150. It could be very advantageous. The cool thing about this is that PANW has these crazy days where sometimes it'll fall down, $8 to $10 in any given day. So it could definitely get to 150 fairly fast if we do see an actual trend to the downside here. I really do like this support in the short term around 173 to 172. If that gives out over the next couple days, that'll start the trend here a little bit better in my opinion, but there is a lot of time to this play. So what happens tomorrow isn't probably necessarily on the forefront of this trader's mind.
Exactly. So either way, keep this one close on watch. But Tom, we also have to showcase the craziness we saw today in the high risk scalps channel with SurgeBot. This was insane. So we could see SurgeBot had some GME put options pop up by 1,352%. This was actually the best play ever. It also had some APP put options pop up by 913%, Tesla call options pop up by 230%, and the list goes on and on. Today was a crazy explosive day. If you're into short-term trading and want to access the trading floor, we brought back the big money coupon code specifically to celebrate the craziness we saw today with these insane moves of 1,300% with these put options. So definitely check it out down below. You'll get full access to Surge, our weekly live events, daily big money plays, and everything else that we have in the trading floor. It's the place to be if you're into short-term trading. And we also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Amped Up in the StockedUp trading floor, who had a phenomenal post a few days ago. Thank you so much for all your kind words, and we love to hear and see everything. So thank you so much for everything. Keep on rolling. Again, if you guys want in on the action, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below, and make sure to use coupon code BIGMONEY to get the best deal possible for the yearly plan. But besides that, we should have a pretty exciting day in the market tomorrow. Don't forget the PCE data will release 1 hour before open. But besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's end the week on a great note.